Before you go out and observe wildlife, there's many things you need to know, a lot of them being safety oriented. This Module 1, will go through all the things you need to be aware about when working outdoors and observing wildlife. First thing that we're going to talk about is navigation. Just remember, Module 1 is set up to make you aware of the associated risks when working outdoors. At all times, work within your comfort level. If you want to see a lot of wildlife, you have to go to different locations in southern Ontario, whether it be public lands, private lands, or parks. You need to know how to navigate these areas safely so you can observe wildlife and make it home safe. Maps are an essential tool while working outdoors. They help you navigate. There's a few sources where you may find maps. We'll go through these, whether they be through your mobile device, found on the web, or purchase printed maps. Probably the easiest map to use is maps on your mobile device. It not only tells you where you are, but you have an option of a street view or a satellite view. However, you're always relying on its battery's life and having data in the area where you're observing wildlife. There are plenty of free sources on the web to print maps. These are easily accessible and really useful well in the field. However, you'll still need a compass or a GPS to properly use these maps. And remember, if you are going to be cutting and pasting portions of a map, you always want to put a north arrow so you can navigate while using it in the field. Purchased printed maps are your most accurate mapping tool, alongside with a GPS or a compass. They're not always necessary when observing wildlife in the outdoors, but highly recommended if you're to go to any unknown areas or observe wildlife on Crown land. So, you found a source of a map. Now, how do we use it? We need to make a plan before we go out. We want to avoid getting lost, and we need to use a compass that complements the use of the map. Planning ahead is really essential. If you know the location where you're going to be observing wildlife, go online, such as on Google Maps or Google Earth, and look at the surrounding area. Notice roads, lakes, streams, and so you can familiarize yourself with the location that you're observing wildlife. So if you're lost, using a compass, you know what's north of you, south of you, west, east, and you'll be more comfortable out in the field, and you'll be better apt to get out if you get turned around. Last thing you want to do is get lost. There's plenty of ways to prevent getting lost. You always want to stick to your plan that you made before going out. You want to stick to trails, and you always want to know where you are on your map, whether it be used on your mobile device or a printed map. So you don't always just want to rely on your map. You want to have a compass because you want to know where north is so you can orient yourself on the map. You can use a compass that's on your mobile device. They're fairly accurate, but again, it relies on batteries. The better thing to do is purchase a handheld compass, not based on electronics, so you can find true north and navigate yourself on the map. Okay, so how do we use all these tools? Here's a hypothetical problem. You get permission to observe wildlife at a farm, and you find yourself lost. What do? You pull out your map, you pull out your compass, find out where north is, and then because you did planning before you went out, in this case you know that there's a road north of you, no matter where you are on the property, and there's a creek south of you. All you have to do is find north on your compass, walk north, and within a kilometer you're going to hit a road, and then you know where you are. This is an easy solution, and I suggest to use this kind of thinking when you're planning a trip. This is a very simple concept, but extremely important and can save your life. You're going to places to observe wildlife where you may not have ever gone before. People don't know you're going there. So if you're going by yourself, let a family member, let a friend know where you're going and when you're going to be back. So if anything were to happen, someone can come help you. Okay, so now we know how to navigate. Where do we go? We want a place that's easy to navigate, has some marked trails, and of course has a lot of wildlife. These are just some suggestions of where you may find good areas to observe wildlife. Places like city parks, conservation areas, provincial parks, or national parks are excellent resources. Don't underestimate city parks. They're free, they're close to home if you live in the city, and if you're in the city, they house a lot of wildlife. These are areas where if you go at dawn to dusk, you're going to see a lot of action. Conservation areas span all across southern Ontario. These are great resources to observe wildlife. If you go to www.conservationontario.ca, we'll give you a comprehensive view of where all these areas are located. I highly suggest, if you do live in southern Ontario, to find the closest conservation area to you and use that as one of your locations to observe wildlife. Another great source to observe wildlife where there's many marked trails, maps, and probably a lot of information of what wildlife you may find is in provincial parks. I encourage you to go online, do some research in provincial parks around your area, and use this as a tool. If you have the opportunity to visit a national park, I'd recommend it. These parks have unique geological features and often contain animals that are rare or unique. Point Pelee National Park, for example, is a phenomenal spot to see a diverse number of waterfowl and other birds. One of the privileges that we have of being a Canadian is all the available Crown land that we have to visit. These areas of Crown land are free. There's a lot of wildlife and a lot of opportunity to use for this course. Just keep in mind, Crown land often has very few trails, and the trails that they do have are unmarked. So please, if you're going to go to Crown land, have an appropriate map, have a compass, and familiarize yourself with the area. Private lands. This is important. You do not want to trespass. It's a serious offense. My recommendation is, if you don't know if it's private land, treat it as if it's private land and don't enter. If you get permission on private property, my suggestion to you is to talk to the property owner and figure out where his property boundary lies so you don't accidentally step on a neighbor's property.